The Huskers wrapped up their final spring practice before the annual red-white game on Saturday. Hi, everybody. This is Greg Peterson for HuskerOnline.com. And we caught up with several players and coaches following today's practice. And head coach Mike Riley addressed the media and talked a little bit about the status of Kevin Williams and Greg McMullen.
Greg McMullen right now is on that kind of personal leave. We've talked a couple of times. He's taking care of some business. I expect that I could have any new news for you on Saturday. Anything different than that. That's kind of where it stands, status quo. You know, he was pressed with some personal issues, mostly involving what he had to do in school. He's graduating, getting into grad school, doing some stuff, so he kind of said step back for a minute. So I think that's all going to be good. And we'll have more news, I think, later. Kevin Williams is also undetermined at this time. You know, it's another deal. Probably by Saturday I'll have more news regarding both of those guys.
Riley also described to the media the format of Saturday's red-white game.
We're going to keep score, but we're going to divide the team just offense and defense. You know, I toyed around with a lot of different scenarios, and this is probably the simplest way to keep good depth, you know, as we substitute in the ball game. And we'll have a scoring system for the defense that we will send out to you. We've got it kind of formatted. A defense is going to be able to score based on stops or obviously turnovers. And so we have a system that gives them a chance to, you know, that we think will be fair. And we'll play the game or keep the score that way. And this way we can kind of substitute pretty easily and not get into that deal where, well, this team's short, this guy's got to run over here, put a new jersey on, all that stuff. And we will incorporate special teams, but probably not in the true flow of the game all the time. I'm going to have some situational special teams that are kind of scripted for the day. So we might do a drive and a punt into the end zone. We're trying to down inside the 10-yard line. You know, so I'm going to script some stuff, make sure we get 2 or 3 kickoffs, 2 or 3 punts, couple kickoff returns, couple punt returns, couple 3, maybe 4 field goal opportunities, something like that. So that's kind of how the day will go. It'll be, I hope it'll be really smoothly run into the, you know, the easiest way to run it, make it look good for everybody.
Riley also added that he wasn't pleased with the offensive performance on Thursday.
Offensively, we want to take care of the football. That's probably our number one deal, along with procedural, you know, not being false start. You know, just sharp, good-looking football that way. Offensively, it was not a good way to go into it. We did not look good to me today. It was not very sharp. And so we got to... And I don't know for sure why, because it hasn't looked like that necessarily to me this whole spring. So it just wasn't as good as it has been that way. Blocking, running, throwing, catching, none of it was very sharp today.
Offensive coordinator Danny Langsdorf says he's pleased with the progress that quarterback Tommy Armstrong has made during the spring.
Overall was pretty good. You know, there's been some times where we've turned the ball over. We've just got to learn to eliminate those throws, those bad decisions. Inaccurate throws, but I think he's got a much better handle of what we're doing. He's been much more comfortable than this time last year for sure, and I think he's continuing to grow. You know, all that experience last year and what we're doing has helped, and then of course the last 14 days have been good to grow on.
Langsdorf also talked about some of the players that might surprise people on Saturday.
I think Reimers has looked really good. You know, I think he's had a good spring. Makes a ton of plays, catches the ball well. I think all 3 backs have been solid. Luke McNitt's played pretty well at fullback. Tanner Farmer's come along on the line. Neville's getting some more work in there at tackle. There's been a handful of guys that probably haven't heard much from, but are looking pretty good.
And one position group that is still up in the air is running back.
Not yet. No, we've just rotated them. They've all had good days. They've had their moments, but that's a solid group right now, tailbacks. And McHale's come along and pushed those other 2. And those other 2 have had more carries and more time last year, but I think McHale's making a push too.
Meanwhile, senior tight end Trey Foster says he's looking forward to his final spring game.
Spring game in Nebraska is like a regular game in Nebraska because all around Nebraska, the state, people are going to be coming here. It's going to be full house pretty much, and it's going to be a lot of people cheering really hard to watch us scrimmage against each other in preparation for the season to come. And it's unlike any other spring game I would probably imagine anywhere else.
And finally, Nebraska added commitment number 5 to its 2017 recruiting class on Thursday when 6'8", 230-pound Aurora, Nebraska tight end prospect Austin Allen committed to the Huskers. Saturday's red-white game is scheduled to start at 1 p.m. Reporting with the Huskers here in Lincoln, I'm Greg Peterson for HuskerOnline.com.